These exceptional individuals transcend time and remain etched in the
students from the university and students specifically from the affiliated colleges. It's a great pleasure for us today to welcome warmly Professor Suborno Issac Bari to this university, Bodoland University. He is considered to be the youngest professor of the world, and not just that, he is also an expert in mathematics and physics. So when such is his talent, naturally we have a lot of things to learn from him, and he is a big inspiration for the students and faculty of the entire region, not just the students of this university. So we have that wonderful opportunity today. I am sure that the students will be inspired enough to go after knowledge. So once we consider knowledge to be very much ritualistic, so now, at least with the presence of this particular scholar and expert, we have the realization that no, knowledge is something wonderful, knowledge is power, knowledge is miracle. Whatever may be the situation, the world still welcomes knowledge.
Bharat Mata ki! Bharat Mata ki! Bharat Mata ki! Thank you, everyone.
I'm so excited to be able to speak to you all right now, and I am so honored that you have chosen to help me communicate math and science to you. So I love math and science very dearly, and I hope that by the end of this session, you will love it too. So before, I think this is an interactive session, so you will get to ask some questions on the spot, and I will answer them. But before anything like that, I wanted to give a brief lecture about infinity and how math isn't always going to fall into your hands. So, I guess let's start with that. Infinity is a very confusing number. Some say it's not even a number, some are confused by the concept. It's just something that you can't grasp. It's something that you can't pull into the real world, no matter how hard you try. It's way too far away from anything your brain can comprehend. And so that makes it really weird to work with. It's really just the concept of something too big to surpass. But, I mean, can't you add 1? Can't you add 2? So there's a concept of different amounts of infinities, but we'll get to that later. So what does infinity really mean? Why do we use it? Why do we define things like it? Well, we don't just define it for fun. We don't define it because we wanted to. And we define it because it's a useful notion. Sometimes to describe the real world, we have to leave it. So, infinity is an example of that, along with other examples like every irrational number, examples like e, complex numbers, pi, the golden ratio, phi. Negative numbers themselves are technically are not a real concept, but these are the things that we have to pull out of real life in order to depict the real world. So sometimes, technically, I think I've heard somewhere that you can do math without complex numbers, but you'll run into notation issues everywhere. It's extremely hard. Sometimes we define things for convenience, not because they are actually a parallel to the real world. So, math can be hard to imagine sometimes, but don't always have to get a good grasp or a good hold on what something is. Just to be able to work with the concept, you don't have to fully understand exactly what you're working with. Because no one can truly pull the square root of -1 or something that's infinitely big into the real world. In fact, now we have a study of infinities themselves. Well, not really. It's a subtopic of set theory. It's what people call cardinality, which is essentially measuring the size of infinite sets. So, infinity is a very untangible concept, and sometimes we have to keep it that way. Sometimes we can't quite stay within the real world when describing it. So, don't feel overwhelmed if you just can't get a grasp on what you're working with when it comes to math. You sometimes have to rework your brain to get into the details. But once you understand the details and you've done the details, you can mostly gloss over them. But don't let this encourage you to totally ignore them. So, that's all for me, I guess. Math isn't always going to be just a parallel to the real world. Math doesn't just always describe something in reality. Sometimes we have to go a little further than that, and that's okay. So don't feel overwhelmed when trying to understand concepts like these. I guess that's all. So that's all I want to say for now.
A big round of applause for this spectacular performance by the students of Suborno University. Big round of applause, please. Bharat Mata ki! Bharat Mata ki! Bharat Mata ki! Thank you, everyone.